Nick's older brother. And when Nick first asked me to be his best man, one of my first thoughts was, oh shit, now I have to give a speech. I was honored, of course. But then I started thinking about what to say. Do I go with, I love you, bro, you're the best speech? I'm like, no one wants to listen to that. Or do I try to make it funny? But I'm really not that funny. So I started reflecting back on Nick's life and how he got to where he is right now. So looking back, I realized that Nick has had some very distinct phases throughout his life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have probably known Nick at various points in his life, but only a few of you have known him his entire life. So I thought it'd be a good idea to take a step back and fill everyone in on how Nick became the guy that he is today. So, the first phase I call the Nicky phase. This phase in Nicky's life started when he was born and ended when he was somewhere around 10th, 11th grade. So, it's a long one. So, Nicky was my little brother, annoying at times, but honestly, looking back, I couldn't imagine growing up without Nicky. So, a lot of people don't know this, and it's kind of been a family secret. You know, when Nicky was pretty young, probably 6 or 7, he was diagnosed with a pretty debilitating disease. Do you care if I fill everybody in? You sure? Yeah. This disease, it's almost like herpes. Once you have it, it just never goes away. You just suffer from flare-ups from time to time. So, it was unfortunate, but Nick was diagnosed with middle child syndrome. It was a struggle, and the struggle was real, people, let me tell you. Yeah, still to this day. But he's always feeling left out, but over time, Nicky learned to manage the flare-ups, and he's been able to keep it under control for the most part. So I think what helped Nicky the most with managing this disease was his strong religious beliefs. Amen.
Jesus.
When we go away for wrestling tournaments, and we'd stay in hotels, and Nicky would always get the hotel Bible out and hold a little Bible study. And he didn't quite read it word for word. He had his own little twist to it, which made it even more hilarious. Nicky was always quite the character. Once again, in another wrestling tournament, there's a lot of tension. Everyone was stressed, and Nicky could sense that and wanted to lighten the mood a little bit. So he decided to pretend that he was blind and started bumping into random people in the hallway of the arena.
Yeah. When Sean made it just he pretended he was blind and deaf.
So he always had everyone on their toes, waiting to see what he was going to do next. So the next phase is probably the shortest phase. And this only lasted from 11th to 12th grade, somewhere in there. I call this the Nick phase. I remember I came home from college one weekend, and Nick was standing at our parents' house. He had these super long sideburns, and he looked like a man. Couldn't believe it. What happened to you? So during this phase, he was responsible. When most people his age were going to keg parties, him and his homies, a couple of these guys up here, they're going to Mountain Dew parties. They pick up a 12 Mountain Dew and go have a bonfire.
That was Tinker.
I remember thinking, this guy, he's got it together. We don't have to worry about him getting into trouble. I couldn't have been more wrong. That all changed when Nick went to college. So I call this the Nick D phase. Nick So there are a lot of stories about Nick D, and unfortunately, 90% I cannot repeat. So Nick D, he was always the life of the party. He's the type of guy that didn't take shit from anyone or anything. For example, one night, out on Chippewa Street, some random streetlight pole pissed him off. Nick D gave him his best shot, ended up with a broken hand. That's for real. Yes. Nick D didn't let a broken hand slow him down. But somehow he was always able to keep it together. One time Nick D and my beautiful wife Stacy, they were taking a civil service exam bright and early on a Saturday morning up in Rochester. Nick D, being Nick D, decided to let it rip. Close the bars down at 4 a.m. Of course, he's the last one to sit for the test, first one done. We're like, obviously, bomb that. Not Nick D. Ended up getting a 100. I don't know. Also, Nick D was a very good songwriter, guitar player, and rapper. He wrote and recorded his own songs. A couple of his greatest hits were Jesus Pie and Acne Cooter. I said Acne Cooter. Now, I wanted to recite some of the verses from Acne Cooter, but my wife advised me against it, so a lot of you have heard it. It's pretty unique, I guess we would say. So, Nick D also had a lot of unique hobbies and interests. One of those was parkour, or parkour, as Nick D called it. So for those of you who don't know, the definition of parkour is the activity or sport, well loosely called a sport, of moving rapidly through an area, typically in an urban environment, negotiating obstacles by running, jumping, and climbing. So Nick D, he's really into parkour, constantly working on his craft. After years of practice, he's finally show off his skills, and what better time than after a wedding that a lot of his friends were at. So Nick D hit the streets of downtown Rochester. He was running up the sides of buildings, jumping over homeless people, a lot of homeless people. So Nick D, here he is, he's in a good rhythm, decided to go for his finishing move. He jumped up on a bench, leaped off into a triple sow cow, his go-to move, but didn't quite stick the landing. Oh, damn it, Nick. Unfortunately, he ended up breaking his leg. So at this time, we didn't know, but this was the beginning of the end of the Nick D era. So he was pretty bummed out and decided that it was time to retire from parkour, or parkour, as they called it. So during his recovery, he texted me one day and said, "Hey, I'm going on a date with this girl named Lisa from Truesburg." So I immediately started laughing. What are you going to tell her when she asks how you broke your leg? Seriously, he broke his leg parkouring. I don't remember what he said, but I just assumed it wouldn't last past one date. I was wrong. So they went on a couple more dates, and Nick D introduced us to Lisa. So at first, she seemed very quiet and sweet, and I couldn't figure out, what is a girl like Lisa doing with a guy like Nick D? Didn't make sense. So we came home another weekend, and Nick D brought Lisa over again. So normally when I come home from Buffalo, Nick and I have a couple beers, we catch up, So I asked Nick D, I said, "Hey, you want a beer?" He said, "No, I'm driving." So I laughed, I said, "Here you go." And he said, "No, really, I'm driving." The words, "I'm not drinking because I'm driving," have never come out of Nick D.
Yeah.
Dude just never drove anywhere. So it was at that moment I realized Nick D era was over. It all made sense with this quiet girl, so I thought she was a quiet girl, was still hanging out with Nick. So as our mom says, both Nick and Lisa sing like canaries after they've had a few cocktails. Lisa, and you especially. Motor mouth. We quickly found out that in fact they are perfect for each other. Lisa brings out the best in Nick, and this is the phase in Nick's life that I think we've all been waiting for. So let's raise our glasses. Lisa and Nick, you can't wait to see how the next phase turns out. Cheers.
Nice job, Shauner.